Hello and welcome into another episode of the FanTC Football Pod with Nick and Kody, coming at you with a little mock draft tonight. This is the first one we've actually done together. Kody's been hard at work on the 45 days of mock drafts for us. I am finally going to help him out with one of these. It is draft season. We both have some draft fever, so we figured we'd throw a couple mocks out for you guys this week. Kody, how are you feeling on this Wednesday night?
Feeling good. Ready to get these next 2 days of work over with so that way I can head to good old Lake of the Ozarks and officially get our draft going. So, like I said, I know we talked about it yesterday, but I'm pumped for this weekend. It's going to be a great time and should be, like I said, a lot of fun with our draft on Saturday. So I am, and like you said, 45 days of mock draft. So we have a whole bunch of different ones on the YouTube page. If you're looking for a specific league size or half PPR or non PPR, there's some of those out there. So take a look around the YouTube for other mock drafts. But yeah, you ready to go ahead and get it started, or do you got anything?
You want to introduce the league size and the scoring settings for this mock draft so people have some context going in?
For sure. I'll pull it up here on the screen. So for the people on YouTube, you can see it's half PPR, 10 teams, I guess 5 minutes per pick, but that's just in case we got to have a conversation. One QB, sure. 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, a tight end, 2 flex, 6 bench spots. So replicating our league roster and our mini dynasty league minus the kicker. And then draft spots, Tyler keeps bouncing around here, so that he's joining so we don't have too many AI. So I think I'm going to lock us in. I'm going to take the 3 before he moves around again. But let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and get this one rolling. The first couple picks should be pretty obvious anyway. So we had Jefferson and CMC come off the board. I'm here at 3. Tyler's going to be drafting at 7. He won't be on the audio or the video. And then we got Nick in the 9 spot. 10-team league as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. So, all right. For me, the 3 spot's pretty easy. I'm going Jamar Chase just about every single time. So if CMC and Justin Jefferson are off the board, Chase is my favorite number 3 pick.
Yeah, 4 or 5 is a really good spot this year just because you kind of let other people make the tough decisions in front of you. You can just take whoever falls out of the Jefferson, McCaffrey, Chase, Kelsey Hill tier. I like all those guys pretty evenly. So 4 goes Kelsey. Team 5 goes Tyreek Hill. Team 6, Austin Eckler. Then Cooper Kupp to Tyler. Team 8 goes Saquon Barkley. So I am looking at Bijan Robinson, Stephon Diggs, the first 2 players in the queue. I have a clear pick here because I have a top 8. Luckily, Barkley got taken 1 pick before me. He was the only guy that was not in my personal top 8 that went ahead of me. So I would go Stephon Diggs here at number 9. I think I would have been considering running back if McCaffrey, Eckler, or Barkley fell. But since Diggs is sitting here at 9, it's a pretty easy pick for me.
Yep, I like Diggs at that spot too.
Team 10 goes double running back, Bijan and Chubb, and that also makes my decision for me at 2-2 because Chubb would have been in consideration here. But I was kind of leaning towards going double wide receiver here off the jump just to kind of see how that team turns out for me. And the way this draft fell, that's the way the value shakes out here anyway. So I'm looking at either A.J. Brown or C.D. Lamb. I like both these guys pretty evenly, but I'll go A.J. Brown. I think a little bit safer, a little bit more TD upside as well in that Philadelphia offense.
That is fair. I think in full PPR, I'd probably disagree with you a little bit more and go CD just because I think he's going to have more target opportunity in Dallas. But in half or not, I would agree A.J. Brown's the pick there. So good stuff. I had a lot of wide receivers fall to me. Wow. Oh, sorry.
Henry, Lamb, St. Brown, Pollard, and Mahomes go in between me and Kody at 2-8 here. Kody, give me your thought process.
Absolutely. So the 3 that are sticking out for sure are Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Jalen Waddle. Devontae Adams, I've been a little scared drafting this year, but for him to be falling to the back half of the second round, I feel like you're actually getting good value on him there, so I don't mind taking him. Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, I feel like are more, I guess it's hard to say more upside than Devontae Adams considering who he's been for the past few years, but I feel like they just have more younger upside they could break out this year, whereas Devontae Adams could potentially be going the other way. It's kind of tough. There's really no running backs that I would consider at this point. I don't think. Jonathan Taylor.
No
Josh
Josh Jacobs
Jacobs.
consideration.
I I don't mind it. So there's a lot of positive news whenever he was supposed to report. Now it seems like people are kind of iffy on whether or not he is going to actually report. So I don't know. I don't feel too great about Josh Jacobs anymore. Even though on the last podcast I was pretty excited about him. I'm gonna go Devontae Adams. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson. I want the upside play. I can't draft Devontae Adams, unfortunately. It just does not, for some reason, doesn't sit well with me this year. I don't know if Nick is talking because I
There we
can't hear
are.
anything.
I'm
There we
back.
go.
I'm
All right,
back.
cool. Sounds
I
good.
lost you.
No problem. So I tilted completely and just went Garrett Wilson over Devontae Adams right after I said I was going to take Devontae Adams. So, now Nick is completely gone. That's all right.
All right. Now we're back in business, I believe.
You're all good. Don't worry about it. We'll just roll. We'll roll into them. Do you want to list off the last 4 picks after Garrett Wilson?
Kody goes Garrett Wilson at 2-8. Then Jalen Hurts goes at 2-9. Team 1 pairs up Devontae Adams and Josh Allen with Jefferson up top. I like that team quite a bit. Team 2 takes Jalen Waddle at 3-2. That brings Kody back up at 3-3. You still are looking at Josh Jacobs at this point, so that was a good gamble to make if you are considering him. There's a lot on the board. Oh, and he goes Jacobs. Yeah, that draft felt pretty nicely for you there. I got to say that was good strategy there. It worked out for you.
Yeah, got a little lucky that Team 1 decided to go 0 RB, I guess, this year and not take a running back through 3 rounds. So, but I will take him there.
Yeah, I like the way the draft fell for that team as well. But yeah, Chase, Wilson, and Jacobs is a very solid start off the top. I think being in the top 5, especially in a 10-team league, is very advantageous. I really like the way the board falls to you at that spot. Next 3 are Jonathan Taylor after Kody. Ramondre Stevenson goes 3-5. Mark Andrews goes 3-6 to the disappointment of myself. Tyler takes Olave at 3-7. Really good value there. He's gone 3 receivers off the top: Kupp, Lamb, and Olave. I like that team. Team 8 takes Travis Etienne. That brings me up at 3-9. And I have 2 wide receivers already. I'm a little disappointed with the way this draft has fallen to me. I think there's one name that is really sticking out for me right now. I think Kody would probably guess who that is.
Is it Jahmyr Gibbs?
It is okay. So him and Joe Mixon are the 2 that I'm looking at right now.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
My Joe Mixon take. I really like him in the late 3rd. I think Gibbs could fall to me I think either one of them could fall me to 4-2, but I think Gibbs is more likely to. So I will take Joe Mixon here at 3-9 as my RB1.
There you go. Yep, I don't mind that at all. I did not scroll down far enough in the rankings to see Joe Mixon there just below him. I saw Gibbs and immediately jumped on it thinking it'd be him. So,
yeah, 10-team leagues, you can really get some value here in round 4. You're still looking at Devontae Smith. I could take it 4-2. We have 2 flexes, so that becomes a little more viable. But Jahmyr Gibbs still being on the board is a little too enticing for me. I think I'm going to go with the rookie from the Detroit Lions. Lock up 2 solid running backs and 2 solid wide receivers in the first 4 rounds. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 42.
Yep, love that pick for sure. And then Devonta Smith finally.
Najee Harris and T. Higgins went in between my picks as well for the 3-10 and the 4-1. So Devontae Smith goes right after me at 4-3. I kind of imagined that would happen. Tyler is up right now at the 4-4. Who are you targeting at your 4-8 pick? Oh, well, I guess we'll find out.
Yep, I was going to say, it depends on who falls back around. So with both Team 1 and 2 already having a quarterback, it makes me feel confident I can get my choice of Lamar or Joe Burrow in the 5th round. So I luckily don't have to make the decision there. Or Justin Fields. I've kind of risen quite a bit on Justin Fields. Aaron Jones is interesting. Brees Hall is interesting for a longer term play. But a guy that I've been rising on quite a bit that I think taking here, he's going to be a flex player and definitely just kind of an injury, security blanket for my wide receiver position. I'm going to snag Calvin Ridley, and he's going to be
Yep.
kind of my risky upside play here. And then go if you want to go ahead and list off who went in between.
Hawkinson, Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones, and DJ Moore brings us back to Kody in round 5, third overall pick here in round 5. Kody has Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Josh Jacobs, and Calvin Ridley. So probably looking running back here unless there's a wide receiver completely jumping off the board, or maybe quarterback if there's one you like here.
Yep. For me, I would be fine taking any of the 4 quarterbacks at this point: Lamar, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, and Justin Herbert. Just to go through some of the other positions here at running back. Everyone knows how much I love Miles Sanders, so he would probably be the first. Well, actually, Brees Hall. I think I'd still draft Brees Hall over Miles Sanders, just betting on the player. But Miles Sanders does interest me
Yeah.
quite a bit. Um, but also coming back around, even in the 6-7, there's going to be some of these other guys. Maybe a James Conner, maybe James Cook in the 7th round that I feel pretty good about just adding to my roster at that point. The wide receivers, I'm not really in love with any of them in this range. I'm okay, with the wide receivers I have. And then tight ends, it would probably be Kyle Pitts or maybe George Kittle, but him already getting a little bit of an injury concerns me. So I'm sticking here with quarterback. I think I'm going to surprise Nick a little bit. I'm actually going to go Justin Fields. I,
Hmm.
I I like Lamar Jackson a little bit more to start, but I think as Nick pointed out, and as a lot of people are pointing out now, the Todd Monken offense is going to have a lot more passing than we've seen in the past. Whereas I think Justin Fields is probably still going to be a little bit more committed to the run. So I think his upside is probably a little bit higher on any given week.
Yeah, I would obviously agree. I've been a long stand for Justin Fields at this point. Ever since his ascension, while on my roster in our mini dynasty league, I've had a bit of a soft spot for him. But yeah, I like his situation this year quite a bit. After Kody takes Justin Fields at 5-3, we have Brees Hall, DeAndre Hopkins, Damian Pierce, Miles Sanders, and Lamar Jackson coming off the board before I am up at 5-9. That means there is still Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert here. I can, I think, play the game though, because I like both of those guys pretty similarly. I know Team 10 is not going to take both of them, so I can just go ahead and take my favorite running back or wide receiver value on the board. There's not a ton that is jumping off the page to me here. I like J.K. Dobbins in this range. If this was full PPR, I wouldn't be looking that way, but because it's half, I'm okay with it. Little early for James Conner. I'm not a fan of Akers and Madison. Those are the other guys kind of that I'm looking at here. Alvin Kamara, I would hope to get a little later as well. Wide receiver Terry McLaurin's injury scares me, especially if it's early in the year, so I'm not looking there. Jerry Jeudy is probably my favorite value here, but I actually might surprise Kody here and go with a guy I am not super high on in general, but I kind of want to take an upside shot here. So I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers wide receiver, Christian Watson, in the 5th round, add some volatility to my flex position, and maybe get a league winner type of guy in round 5.
Yeah, nice. Like to see that. Absolutely.
And as expected, Team 10 does go quarterback, making my decision for me. They go Joe Burrow, and they grab George Kittle on the turn there. I have an easy decision here. Justin Herbert in the 6th round is fantastic value. I like him almost as much as Justin Fields. I think he has a much higher floor as well as a player, maybe slightly lower ceiling, but in the Kellen Moore offense, I think Herbert will excel. And in the 6th round in a 10-team league, that's pretty fantastic value.
Yep, 100%. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast, if you get any of the Fields through Herbert tier in the 5th round, anywhere in the 5th round, I'm pretty comfortable with all those guys. So, yeah. And I knew that there was almost no chance that one of those 4 quarterbacks was getting back to me. So that's why I went ahead and scooped Fields up at the 5-3. But even at the 5-3, I don't feel like I'm reaching on a quarterback at that point, especially one that, like I said, I think can be a week winner any given week. So pretty excited
Yeah.
the way quarterbacks fell in this draft.
My 10-team league had 7 quarterbacks gone by pick 3-2 of our draft over the weekend. So they were definitely flying off the board. Those top 7, especially in 10-team leagues, can really help separate you when the waiver wire, again, is going to be a little stronger than deeper leagues. It's more important to have that positional advantage, in my opinion. Before it comes up to Kody, Tyler making his decision right now, I'm going to go ahead and recap our rosters to this point. Kody has just Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, and Calvin Ridley at the wide receiver position. Josh Jacobs is his RB1. Justin Fields is his quarterback. I have Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, and Christian Watson at the wide receiver position. Joe Mixon and Jahmyr Gibbs are my running backs, and Justin Herbert is my quarterback. Kody is up here at 6'8". The guys that went in between Herbert and Kody were in order: Jerry Jeudy, Cam Akers, Terry McLaurin, Alex Madison, and Drake London. Kody, did anyone snipe your pick in between me and you, or was there somebody else you're targeting at this spot?
If Cam Akers would have fallen to me, I would have had to have been a little bit more consideration. But in any kind of PPR format, if I can go ahead and snag Cam Akers as my RB2, and I feel like I have a strong enough roster, around him as my running back too, I'm going to take him here all day. If it was non PPR, I'd definitely go J.K. Dobbins over him. But J.K. Dobbins has not been the pass catching running back for the Ravens, even when he is out there. So I feel more comfortable with James Conner. Maybe J.K. Dobbins has a higher ceiling as a player overall. But with the roster that I'm building kind of around him, I think James Conner is just the better pick for my roster construction.
So after Kody takes James Conner at 6'8", J.K. Dobbins goes right after him. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Pitts at the turn. Mike Williams at 7'2". That would be the player I would have targeted at the bring back here for you at 7'3". But with him off the board, who are you looking at right now?
Alvin Kamara kind of sticks out a little bit. I know obviously it would be you have to hold him for the 3 weeks, but he could come back and be a difference-making player, especially in a half PPR league. Dallas Goedert and Darren Waller both kind of stick out to me here in the 7th round. I wouldn't mind adding either of those two guys. I'm not too interested in Chris Godwin. The other wide receiver, I wouldn't. Tyler Lockett's not bad. Hollywood Brown isn't bad, but with the wide receivers I have, I think I kind of want to go with some younger upside, maybe in the 8th, 9th round. So I'm okay with avoiding wide receivers for another turn. I think I'm going to go Alvin Kamara. I think if I was sitting here in my draft, I'd feel best adding him to my team here. Obviously, when he comes back, I have 3 really good running backs. Especially for the PPR or half PPR format, and then if one of them gets injured, it's obviously just another good player you can substitute in there.
Yeah, at 7'3", that would have been my pick as well. Very good value on the board at that point to get a player that probably is in the top 50 players off the board at the very least without a suspension. So if you can cobble together a decent lineup for 3 weeks, you will add a top 20 running back to your team immediately, which is a nice thing to have. So in between Kody and Tyler, we have – I just moved my player ranking there. Chris Godwin, Trevor Lawrence, and Brandon Ayuk coming off the board. Tyler's still making his decision here. And there goes Tyler taking Tyler Lockett. Probably would have been my pick at 7'9" if he'd fallen. Darren Waller also going in between me and Tyler there. Sitting here at 7'8", I have 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a quarterback. So I'm not too interested in the tight ends on the board here. I really like Dallas Goedert as a player, but again, I think these mid-level tight ends always end up disappointing us. I think I'd rather wait a little bit longer and fill out the rest of my starting lineup before attacking the tight end position. So that leaves either wide receiver or running back. Javonte Williams is interesting to me at this spot. Luckily, I did not go Jerry Jeudy earlier in the draft, so I don't have too much Broncos investment if I end up going that route. David Montgomery, also pretty interesting to me at the 7'9". I think I might let Team 10 make that decision for me because I like both of those guys pretty similarly. So we can head over to the wide receivers here. And I think there is one guy sticking out a bit here for me. I really like Deontay Johnson this year. I think the Pittsburgh offense has been really good so far in the preseason. I like the way his target share gives him a high floor. Kind of pairs well with my Christian Watson flex as well. So I'm going to go Deontay Johnson here at the 7-9 and hope Javonte Williams or David Montgomery falls to me at my next pick.
Yep, good pick there. Deontay Johnson would not have, gotten all the way back around. Had the wide receivers pulled up, and he was a little bit further down there. But if he would have gotten to my pick in the 8th or 9th round, I would have 100% picked him. So I like that selection.
David Montgomery and Christian Kirk go at the turn. So as I predicted, one of those two running backs goes, and he makes my decision for me. Javonte Williams. Again, I'm not a huge fan of taking guys a year off their ACL, but he has looked great so far in camp. He's healthy at this point, and in the 8th round, I feel like it is definitely worth a gamble at this point, especially because I am not necessarily relying on him to be a starter out of the gate. I can kind of let him sit on the bench for a week or two, see what his involvement is, and then I might have myself a legit top 12 back if he actually is healthy to start the year.
Yep, I agree with you. And smart move for just letting the AI make your decision for you, because you got probably the right wide receiver off the board, as well as getting one of those two running backs you like. So that was a good turn for you.
Made sense for me. Rachaad White goes right after Javonte Williams at 8-3. That brings Tyler up here. Who on the board are you really looking at right now? You are still looking for your tight end. Is there anybody you're targeting here if they get back to you in the 8th round? You want Dallas Goedert to maybe fall to you at that point?
I probably would take Dallas Goedert if he fell back around to me at this point. I imagine let me scroll up here.
There are two
Mark
teams
Andrews,
in between you with no tight end. Tyler and Team 5.
Tyler and Team 5.
It's a 50-50 shot at least that he gets taken before you come up.
Yep. I would say if he does fall to me in the 8th, I'd be okay with taking him. Yep. I imagined he wasn't going to. So here, I'm going to take these next two plays. So if I'm looking at my roster, for those of you who are watching on the YouTube, I have Fields, Jacobs, Connor, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, an empty tight end. Calvin Ridley would be in my flex week 1. So I need another flexible player for week 1 that I feel pretty good about. So on this turn, I want to take one player that I feel like I can flex week 1 in a half PPR league. And then in the other pick, I want to go with an upside play, either a rookie or someone I have a lot of confidence in this season. So with the Terry McLaurin injury, I probably would have had Jahan Dotson on the other side of it, where I would have been a little bit more skeptical playing him week 1. But now I feel pretty good about flexing him, especially the way he looked. So I'm going to go ahead and jump down the board a little bit and grab Dotson right there. That way he does not get sniped by the AI. And then that kind of opens me up here with my next pick to go with a younger guy. Nick, do you want to go through the 4 guys selected here before I make my selection?
Yeah, I don't know if I updated before that either. So after my pick, Javonte Williams at 8-2, we had Rachaad White, Dallas Goedert, Deshaun Watson, Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, Jahan Dotson to Kody at 8-8. Then in between Kody and his next pick, Michael Pittman, Isaiah Pacheco, Marquise Brown, and George Pickens. That brings Kody back up in the 9th round at 9-3 here. What do you think?
So I thought James Cook would have gotten taken on that turn. I did not think he was going to fly back around to me. My plan was to go Jahan Dotson, Jordan Addison. I was imagining JSN and James Cook would both have fallen off the board there. So since James Cook's on there, I will always take good running back depth. He's the one in Buffalo right now, and the guys behind him aren't too promising. And again, in a half PPR league, I'll take pass-catching running backs all day, especially in the 9th round. That's insane value.
Yeah, really good pick there in the 9th round to get a possible starter on a great offense. Can't really argue with it. I'm surprised to see him there at 9-3, to be honest. But in between James Cook at 9-3 goes Jackson Smith-Njigba, A.J. Dillon, then Treylon Burks. A little early for Treylon Burks considering the injury, especially in a 10-team league, in my opinion. But that brings up Tyler while he considers his pick. Let's go ahead and look at the board. I feel pretty good about where I'm going with my next selection, considering Both Tyler and Team 8 have tight ends. I like Pat Fryermuth a lot. I think he's the last guy I would be comfortable taking before, a really late round pick at this point at the tight end position. I've cooled off a little bit on David Njoku, and I never really was in on Evan Ingram. Those are the only other top 10 guys available. So after Tyler goes Dak Prescott at 9-7, Team 8 goes Jordan Addison at 9-8, and my decision is pretty easy here. I'm going to go Pat Fryermuth before Team 10 is not going to take a tight end, but there are a couple wide receivers I like on the board, so I'm just going to play it safe and take the Pittsburgh tight end.
That's a good move because the AI is not hesitant about doubling up on tight end early sometimes. So
yeah,
if the sleeper AI will get you every once in a while.
Was not going to risk it. He did take Gabe Davis. I think that would have been my pick, but he goes with Antonio Gibson and Gabe Davis. There are still some other intriguing options here. We have Zay Flowers. I'm considering Quentin Johnston. Love grabbing the rookie wide receivers at this point and just kind of hoping for one of them to break out. At the running back position, not a ton to look at. I like actually Khalil Herbert and Brian Robinson in this range. Surprised to see at least Khalil Herbert still on the board after his preseason showing earlier this year. I think that is where I'm leaning, unless I'm missing somewhere on this wide receiver board. Nope, I don't think so. I think Khalil Herbert's definitely going to be my pick. That will put me at 4 running backs and 4 wide receivers, 4 guys I feel pretty good about starting off the jump as well. So I'm happy with that.
Yep, I think that's a solid pick. And I don't think Khalil Herbert. Sorry about that. Khalil Herbert should also not be falling to the 10th round. I think I would have taken him over Gibson and AJ Dillon, and then multiple of the wide receivers that were taken as well. So, he should probably be ninth round, maybe 8-9 turn, depending on who you like compared to some of the wide receivers that went.
I'm going to go ahead and update everybody on both of our rosters. I am through 10 rounds. I have Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Christian Watson, and Deontay Johnson at my wide receiver position. Joe Mixon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Javonte Williams, and Khalil Herbert as my running backs. Justin Herbert's my quarterback, and Pat Fryermuth is my tight end. I think I would have gone a different route if this was not at least a half PPR league and non-PPR. I'm not as interested in Fryermuth, but I think his floor in any league that gives you points per reception is pretty enticing, especially in the 9th round.
Yep, I think that you are off to a good start here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't argue with the squad to this point. Tyler goes Cortland Sutton at 10-4. Then Quentin Johnston, Evan Ingram, and Brandon Cooks go before Kody comes up at 10-8. Where are you looking?
Yeah, and just to update everyone on my roster here before, or actually, I'll do it now. I got Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson as my wide receivers, James Cook, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Josh Jacobs as my running backs, Justin Fields as my quarterback, and I am still looking for a tight end. Evan Ingram went off the board. He would not have been in my sights just because of already having a Jacksonville wide receiver.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second here. My computer's getting a little slow. Okay.
Any consideration for Njoku at this point, or are you not on the Browns tight end?
I don't mind it. He's definitely in consideration. I really like Zay Flowers. I've liked him all offseason. I think he has a lot of opportunity for a rookie wide receiver with both OBJ and Bateman being the other 2 on that team. So it's really between those 2 for me. Let's see. Kyle Pitts. They both have a tight end. I'll run the risk.
Yep,
I don't know if it's necessarily worth it, but even if Njoku does get taken, I'm okay with punting on the tight end position at this point. It's not make or break.
Goes
with Njoku.
Njoku goes at 10-10. Unfortunately, Brian Robinson, David Njoku, Tua Tagovailoa, and Zach Charbonnet go in between Kody and his next pick. You are up here. Is there anybody on the tight end board that interests you at this point, or are you just going to fully punt this position?
At this point, I'm going to fully punt the position, and I'm going to probably target Dalton Kincaid next round. There's a chance he goes in between. Let me look actually who's available, because Thomas, Penny, Jamal Williams is interesting, especially with the. I don't want to end up having both New Orleans running backs once he's back. Samaje, Juju, Elijah Moore.
So there's no part of you that's interested in going Kamara and Williams and just securing the starting running back for New Orleans. At least, you get the first 3 weeks of Williams as the starter, then Kamara comes back, presumably takes over the lead role, or would you just worry about the timeshare after that?
I'm a little bit worried about the timeshare after that, which is probably why Kamara, is at seven was still there at 7-3 a little bit. So if I'm
Sure.
looking at building a roster, obviously Chase, Wilson, Ridley are all in there. Jacobs and Connor are in there. So then it's Dotson, Cook, or Flowers as my second flex piece. And the Saints week 1 through 3. Kendre Miller did play, but you may have actually talked me into it. I think I may go. I think I'm gonna go Jamal Williams, and then just see what tight end falls
Secure
back
the
around
starter
to
for the
me.
first 3 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I
mind
like
that.
that
I
play.
feel I feel pretty good about Jahan Dotson and James Cook. If I did want to snag Njoku, or not Njoku, I'm sorry. If I did want to snag a tight end, but I think Jamal Williams is actually a really smart pick there, especially just. I feel like you feel pretty confident putting him out there week 1 that he's probably scoring a touchdown at some point. So I don't mind that,
He's going to get
especially
the
in a
majority of the
deeper
work at
league.
the very least. Yeah, and as your second flex in this situation, I think he'd be a solid play. After Jamal Williams goes, it's Anthony Richardson, Rashad Penny, and Aaron Rodgers. Tyler's still deciding on his pick. Let's see if there's any interesting late round names that are on the board here. Samaje Perine, if he gets back to me, I will be a little upset. I don't like having Williams and Perine on the same team, so he's kind of out of consideration for me. There aren't a ton of running backs that really interest me. Raheem Mostert, Tank Bigsby, those are some guys I'm kind of looking at, but I feel like I might be able to play the game and get them later on. At the wide receiver spot, Michael Thomas still being on the board. I am not a huge fan of him, but in the 11th round, it's hard to argue with that value. Rashad Bateman might be on the board here for me, but I'm just going to have to see who Tyler takes here before I make my decision. I don't know if I'm looking at a second tight end. I might consider Dalton Kincaid for the upside. He does go Michael Thomas at 11-7, then Eli Moore goes at 11-8, so that makes my decision for me. Oh, wait, who was I? Oh, he took. Okay, sorry. He took Michael Thomas. That was going to be my pick. So at the wide receiver position, oh man, there's some nice late flyers. We talked about Dobbs the other day. I think I would consider him here, but I want a little bit more upside. I think Rashad Bateman really showed out while he was on the field last year. There's a chance he stays healthy and comes down. It is the number 1 in round 11. I'm okay with that risk. I'll go ahead and take him here for upside.
I think that's a solid pick for sure.
Schultz and Perine go in between my 12th round pick. So sitting here at 12-2, we are probably looking at just building out that running back wide receiver depth still. I think I want to, again, shoot for upside here, looking at some guys that could really take over their backfields. We have a lot of handcuffs on the board here between Eli Mitchell, Tyler Algier, Zeke, Tank Bigsby. But I think Raheem Mostert's the one guy here that you could actually argue could be, a legit starter on his team as soon as week 1. So I'm going to go ahead and take that shot and take Raheem Mostert here in the 12th round.
Yep, draft Miami running backs. Devon Achane, although also still being
This
on the
late, you might
board,
as well.
is
All
awesome
3 of
just
them,
because
actually.
he has been going extremely early in drafts compared to the other Miami running backs. But this is a lot more realistic, so I'm
Oh,
happy to see that
oh,
for sleeper. Yeah,
oh.
that sucks, man. Wow,
Dalton
screw
Kincaid
you,
going
Team Four.
12-7
What
to the
the heck?
Travis Kelce owner right before Cody's pick. That is devastating. After Raheem Mostert, Juju, Tyler Algier, Devon Achane, Kirk Cousins, and then Dalton Kincaid right before Cody picks at 12-8. That is that's a punch in the gut. Your gamble almost paid off there with Dalton Kincaid, but are you still going to further push off the tight end position, or are you gonna just go ahead and bite the bullet at this point?
At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet and take my late round guy. I don't want to leave the draft not taking one, so we'll grab Greg Dulcich here. I think he's the only part of the Denver offense that I grabbed, so I don't mind adding him late if that's the case. If I
Yeah.
grab a Judy or a Javante or even a P Ryan, I'm a little bit more skeptical. Well, not P Ryan because he'd be on the bench, but I'd be a little bit more skeptical. And then here, since I grabbed Justin Fields, since he's still on the board, I'm going to go ahead and just grab Geno. He may be a nice safe play if Fields were to happen to get an injury early in the season, or if Fields looks phenomenal, I can feel confident, dropping Geno Smith if he's not looking too great. So I'll just double up at quarterbacks just to kind of secure that position. I don't do that very often, but with a run heavy quarterback, I think it's always nice just to have a secure backup to start the season.
And then with Greg Dulcich, I think similarly to defense, where you should basically just be drafting for the week one matchup. If you are drafting a tight end this late, you should basically assume that you're going to be streaming this position. Go ahead and take a look at these tight ends week one, whoever's week one matchup you like, and go ahead and grab them. Dulcich has the Vegas Raiders at home. That's a pretty solid matchup in my mind. Should be a weaker defense in comparison with the rest of the league. So Dulcich a good grab there at 12-8. Jamal Williams, Alan Lazard, Odell Beckham, Eli Mitchell, then Geno Smith to Kody, Damian Harris, Chico Conquo, Jerick McKinnon, Sky Moore, and Cole Kmet go off the board. With Justin Herbert, I don't really feel the need to take a backup. He is going to be my locked-in starter. Pat Freiermuth, again, kind of a lower ceiling play at the tight end position, but also a high floor, so I don't really feel the need to take a backup there. So we're just, again, flushing out depth at our running back or wide receiver position. Lots of veterans on the board here. Darnell Mooney is kind of interesting to me. Romeo Dobbs, but in a 10-team league, again, we're going to shoot for a little more upside. I'm going to go Tank Bigsby and hope he has a bigger role in this offense than we're expecting.
Yeah, solid pick.
Daniel Jones and Adam Thielen go off the board. That leaves me with my last pick here. I have gone a little running back heavy in the late rounds here. I'm up to 6, so I think I can probably avoid hammering that position any longer. I will just go ahead and probably fill out my wide receiver depth and take the guy I was also considering here with my last pick at Darnell Mooney. There's an off chance that he remains the one in Chicago, and if Justin Fields legitimately does level up, I think he has room for 2 pass catchers on this offense. Kendre Miller right after me to team 8. Tyler, looking at his last pick here. I don't know if there's anyone even remotely interesting on the board here to talk about. Maybe Nico Collins. 10-team league, I don't like him quite as much. I think he's probably going to be more of a flex range guy in 12-team leagues. Well, there is one guy that's interesting to me at this point. How many running backs do you have on your team right now? Let's see, 5.
Let's see if I can
guess.
Him
the other night.
Jaylen Warren. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's correct. Kody takes Jaylen Warren. That will conclude our mock draft. Let's go ahead and recap our teams here. Kody, do you want to list your squad for the people?
For sure. I'll just go in order by position here. So at quarterback, actually, before I go into that, for some reason on my screen, the 14th round was not loading. When I grabbed Geno Smith, I thought it was my last pick. I would not have grabbed Geno there. I probably would have grabbed someone else and then grabbed a quarterback with my last pick. So a little bit of an error there on my part. But I got Justin Fields and Geno Smith in my quarterback position. Running backs, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Alvin Kamara, James Cook, Jamal Williams, and Jaylen Warren. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson, Zay Flowers, and then Greg Dulcich at my tight end position. I honestly feel good about each position group. Obviously, tight end, when you grab one that late, you're never going to feel that great about it, but committing to streaming tight ends, really, unless you're grabbing a top 5-6 guy, you're most likely going to end up having to stream a tight end at some point, just with how inconsistent they are. So I'm pretty happy with my roster. How do you feel about the team that I drafted?
I feel pretty good about it. I think the one misstep you may have made was just not taking Kincaid in the 11th round. I know Jamal Williams being at that point was a nice pairing with Alvin Kamara to secure the New Orleans backfield, at least for the first couple weeks. But I think Kincaid would have been a nice upside option to have in a 10-team league. But other than that, I can't really argue with it. I really like the value on Justin Fields at 5.3, Kamara at 7.3, and Cook at 9.3. All three of those picks really stood out to me as my favorite values on your team.
Awesome. Let's hear your team. I like your team quite a bit here.
All right, so my quarterback is Justin Herbert. My tight end is Pat Freiermuth. My running backs are Joe Mixon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Javonte Williams, Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, and Tank Bigsby. My wide receivers are Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, Rashad Bateman, and Darnell Mooney. I think we ended up doing okay. I don't love drafting towards the back of any draft this year, but I think the way the board fell to me was acceptable. I like that I got Joe Mixon and Jahmyr Gibbs at 3, 9, and 4-2. That kind of helps save my running back room from a complete zero RB type of strategy.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like your running backs were getting a little scary after you grabbed Williams in the 8th, but having Herbert, Mostert, and Bigsby to round out that position group really solidified it. And then we already talked about it, but the Deontay Johnson pick in the 7th round I liked quite a bit, especially in any kind of PPR format. People, I think one of like fantasy's favorite words is regression, because people always like to talk about TD regression, both positive and negative. If there's anyone that you can make that case for, it has to be Deontay Johnson. So he should be going, I think, probably a little higher. I mean, I think I'd take him over. Him and Lockett would be close, but I'd take him over Ayuk. I think I'd take him over maybe even Godwin and Williams in a PPR format. So.
Agreed.
But cool. That'll wrap up that one. So that'll be, I believe that was number 33 on our 45 days of mock draft. So the 34th one, we're going to have a little bit of a different mock draft for you. We are going to basically mock draft from our mini dynasty league. Nick, do you have it saved on your end? I unfortunately used the one that I had saved earlier. Or actually, maybe I might actually have to pull it in here. Okay. Shoot me a link for it, and then I will share it here. But so we each it's a 12-team league, half PPR. It's not a snake draft; it is linear. So I took second, so I'm going to be drafting in the 11th spot every time. Sleeper's a little iffy about not iffy, but a little kind of bad about letting us take the picks that we've traded for, because you kind of just take the whole line in general. So with that being the case, there will be some little probably side conversations about different picks in different places. But this is going to be the draft that we'll be having on Saturday. So I'm sure you'll probably see it posted on social once the draft board is complete. Nick, are we doing a in-person draft board, or are we just going to be doing it all through Sleeper?
Since there won't be a couple of our league members in attendance, unfortunately, we are going to be doing just an online draft, like a typical sleeper draft would end up being. So I think
gotcha.
obviously the few people that couldn't come forced my hand there, but that should make it easier for us to get it up on the website.
Sweet. While we are, sorry, go ahead. Bad timing there.
No, are you going to start a new recording, or are we just going to?
Oh, I was just going to roll it into the same video and just post it all as one. Okay. But now that we've done this, I can go ahead and just end this one. I'll just post them separate.
Yeah, I was going to say it might take me a second to